Today is Sunday, and on these days I will either have an interview with someone who has experiences in relation to the subjects I'm talking about, or I'm going to look at some of the research that I've found while researching this subject of abortion. And today I'm going to look at a particular study that goes through a lot of different experiments done in relation to male birth control and kind of where we are at and some thoughts on that. Birth control. When those two words arise, the image in one's mind will almost always, if not always, conjure up a pill or some device that women use. No matter the object, it is something that women use. Birth control is virtually non-existent for men. This, however, is not for lack of trying. Since 1960, when a female birth control was created, tested, and distributed, people have been working to create something similar for men. It would seem the trope that women are more complicated than men does not hold true in the realm of contraceptives. While it took less than 10 years to create a female birth control, it has taken 50 years, and still there is no approved equivalent for men. This paper, Male Hormonal Contraception, Where Are We Now?, sheds a wonderful light into the attempts to create a male birth control. It is as much encouraging and infuriating as it is informative. Let's dive into it. First, one needs to know that hormonally, the starting point for men is the pituitary. The creation of follicle-stimulating hormones, or the gonadotropin-releasing hormone. If appropriately suppressed, the creation of sperm can be reduced to levels that will effectively cause temporary infertility in men. This is what many of the tested hormonal male birth controls have tried to do. 2 initial studies were conducted that tested the use of testosterone enanthate, or exogenous androgens, to suppress spermogenesis, the creation of sperm, to either very low levels, which is oligospermia, or very, very low, almost non-existent levels, azoospermia. They were both fairly small studies, but quite broad in relation to the variety of men in the studies. These 2 early landmark studies provided strong evidence that when spermatogenesis is suppressed to yield very low sperm output by the administration of exogenous androgens, contraceptive efficacy can be as high as female contraceptive methods. These studies were done around the 1970s. So far, this looks like a very promising start. I'm not going to go over every study this paper talks about, but the whole thing is worth a read. It goes into all the different combinations of hormones and treatments that were used, and almost all of them have an equal, if not better, efficacy rate than female birth control. One even had a, quote, failure rate of 0, end quote. Next, let's talk about side effects. This is the point where one might go from encouraged to infuriated. Be forewarned. A study done in 2013 looked at using a combination of testosterone undecanoate and a progestin norethisterone enanthate to suppress spermatogenesis to effective contraceptive levels. It was looking promising with, quote, 266 couples participating in the study during the efficacy phase, end quote, and had a, quote, failure rate of 1.5 per 100 users, end quote. The study was stopped before the intended end of the study, however. You might wonder why. Did something crazy happen? Did men start growing third arms or have such horrible side effects that one could not ethically continue the study? No. What stopped the study was that, quote, adverse events included acne, pain at the injection site, and mood swings, end quote. I do not agree with all the malarkey about women having it so bad and men having it so easy, or the idea that the patriarchy controls everything and women are still subject to difficulties because of that. Men and women are not as diametrically opposed in ability or opportunity as is often touted. In this area, however, I do see an imbalance that is disturbing. The side effects given here are just some of the many effects of female hormonal birth control. There are so many more effects that women have to deal with to protect from pregnancy. But these same mild side effects are seen in a trial for male birth control, and the study is stopped early. I will look later at an article that discusses the way female birth control was first tested and the ethical problems that are now posed when looking back at it, but let's just say it was not a completely ethical or fully informative way to test it on women. I'm not surprised that 40 or 50 years later, the concern for safety has drastically changed. What I am bothered by is the clear imbalance displayed in these studies. I want birth control to be safe, available, and effective, but nothing that messes with the hormones of the normal bodily functions of one's body is going to be perfect or without side effects. The fact that the study was stopped early tells a story of a desire to protect men from any side effects, and if that can't be done, then male birth control will not happen. While the narrative for women is that birth control is our burden and our burden alone. Even now, the long-term side effects of birth control are being studied. Women are still being told to get over it. The price women pay for protection against unwanted pregnancy seems too high a price to place on men as well. This story needs to have a drastic edit if we are ever to grow out of the ills we now face, both in birth control and beyond. Despite the frustrating nature of the information in the paper, it is a wonderful reference if one wants to learn about the journey of male contraceptives and what still can be done. I only discuss about half of the paper, and there are other studies that have more serious side effects, even one where a participant killed themselves. I do not discredit that, however, there's probably more to that than we know as well. If you do read the full study, just know that I wanted to keep this short and could not go through everything. If you are interested in commenting about this episode or answering any of the questions I just asked, you are welcome to. You can either send me an email at lawlessconversations@yahoo.com. That is LAWLESSCONVERSATIONS@yahoo.com. You can also comment on Twitter at Lawless Convos, LAWLESSCONVOS. Finally, you can also contact me on Facebook if you just look for Lawless Conversations, 2 different words, LAWLESSCONVERSATIONS. I look forward to hearing from you. The references to any sources that I use in each episode will be available in the bio, along with all of these social media connections. Join me on Wednesday as we get into the subject of the morning after pill and sterilization. Thank you for listening. I look forward to next week.